Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the regular city council meeting to order. It is Monday, January 12th at 6 o'clock. I'll do a roll call. Mike?
Here.
Maureen?
Here.
Adam?
Here.
Gar?
Here.
Lindsay?
Here.
And have we heard from Ben?
Ben's out.
Okay. So would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, everyone. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Council will receive public comments on any issue related to the agenda. Limited discussion by the council may take place. Okay, hearing none, the next item is the consent agenda. Library Board minutes from September 18th, City Council minutes from December 8th, Cable Commission minutes from December 18th, Parks and Public Works Committee minutes from December 15th, General Fund balances for December, cash balances for December, and paid invoice report for December.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda of items 1 through 7.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on the motion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Next item is report of standing committees and commissions. Nothing for finance, planning commission report from Monday, January 5th. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. So the Plan Commission met this last Monday. We discussed the concept plan for Great Rivers. We'll be talking about that in a second, so I won't cover that again. Then we discussed the facade improvement program for 139 and 141 Broad Street. Again, that is on the agenda for tonight, so I won't cover that. And then we reviewed comprehensive plan updates. We went over the Chapter 8 land use map. It was updated from our last Plan Commission. Plan Commission gave their seal of approval on that. Then we discussed the redevelopment planning process. We have an area in town that is industrial. It's in the older part. It's the former Jake Seed. So we talked about one of the things that we're including in the comprehensive plan is proposed to do a redevelopment plan for that area. So we talked about that, and if we wanted to keep in the comprehensive plan, and Plan Commission ultimately decided they did want to keep it there. And then Chapter 9, we did our initial review of the intergovernmental cooperation chapter for the comprehensive plan and reviewed that.
Okay, thanks. So the next meeting is Monday, February 2nd at 6 o'clock. Parks and Public Works Committee report.
Yes, so we talked about a couple of the private properties in City Prescott that have wells still. They didn't respond to some letters from the city about getting their wells inspected, and we're waiting for the DNR to get back to us on a couple of steps on what we need to do if they don't get back to us. And then we also talked about the Sunset Park, which was on the agenda tonight.
Okay, thank you. The next meeting is Monday, February 16th at 5 o'clock. Health and Safety Committee report.
We just met today at 5 o'clock. We discussed a Class A beer and liquor license for Marathon Gas Station, which is at 1120 US Highway 10. We're moving that to council for review and to approve. If they deem that approvable. We discussed the red flashing beacon crosswalk sign quotes and permits for US Highway 35 and Canton Streets. We reviewed quotes for security upgrades at City Hall. We're moving that to council as well. We also discussed updating the fire system here at the City Hall and Library. We're moving that to council as well. And then we also are going to be meeting in February. We're trying to determine a date so that we can review the issuance of 2 open Class B liquor licenses here in the city of Prescott.
Okay, thank you. The next meeting is to be determined. Personnel, next meeting, Wednesday, February 4th at 5 o'clock. It says reschedule a later date. Maureen?
I don't know why that's marked that way.
So I was going to ask if we could reschedule that to the 25th, although did we just set the health and safety committee to the 25th? So if we could reschedule it to maybe the 18th, are you available? Or is the personnel committee
Yeah,
available on the 18th?
I thought we scheduled the health and safety on the 18th,
February 18th.
no?
Yes, because I couldn't do it the 23rd through.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Sorry.
health and safety is the 18th.
Okay,
Could we
so-
schedule the personnel meeting for the 25th?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm too.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
5 o'clock. Yeah.
So next item is communications and new business. Public comments. The council received public comments on any issue not related to the agenda items. Limited discussion by the city may take place. However, no action will be taken on any item, includes receiving written requests, documentation, possible action at a future meeting. So did Randy go home?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other public comments? Okay, hearing none. The next item is the 2025 Facade Improvement Program. Consideration of facade improvement agreement between the City of Prescott and Joe and Tracy Franick for 139 and 141 Broad Street. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. So at the last council meeting, we discussed this project. It was originally approved by Plan Commission, but there was some confusion on the windows. So council sent it back to Plan Commission and to discuss with the owner. We were able to discuss with the owner, and they are able to upgrade the windows on both buildings to do the architectural style that would have the half circle, because they can install them from the outside. So based on that, the grant amount does go from $21,278 to $28,328. And the remaining funds for the 2025 project, originally were going to be $15,760 left over, and all will be $8,710. So Plan Commission reviewed this at their meeting on Monday and ultimately approved it back to council. And the owners were notified, so I think everything on their end is good. So now we're looking for council consideration of approval of this agreement with Joe and Tracy Fronick for 139 and 141 Broad Street.
Motion to approve the facade improvement program agreement between the City of Prescott and Joe and Tracy Franick for 139, 141 Broad Street.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to approve the facade improvement program between the City of Prescott and Joe and Tracy Franick. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yeah. Yes, I'd like to thank Joe and Tracy for that. I think that it's very sweet of them to keep the look of the older downtown in these renovations, and I really appreciate them putting in the extra money to do that.
Yeah, keeping that uniformity. That's good.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of the memorandum of understanding between the City of Prescott and the Prescott Professional Police Association. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. So we had discussed this previously. The existing union contract currently restricts our agreement to just the open K-9 position that recently came about due to the early retirement of Caesar. So this modification that's being proposed before you tonight would basically add language that allow us to not only fill the K-9 position, but give us the flexibility to also create an investigator position and fill it with that. So that's the only change before you within the memorandum of understanding, is just that one change. I don't know if Eric has anything he wants to add, but it has gone before, fill me if I'm wrong, Eric, but it has gone before the union and they have approved the contractual.
They voted for approval.
So I'll turn it over to council for comments or questions.
make a motion for approval of memorandum of understanding between the City of Prescott and Prescott Professional Police Association.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Prescott, the Prescott Professional Police Association. Is there any discussion on the motion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carried. Next item on the agenda is the Great Rivers Concept Plan and PUD rezoning, public notice. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. So this was before the Plan Commission this last Monday. It's now coming for council for review. Paul Tabone is here with JT Brooks, as are the landowners, Crispos and Almost. So they are available if you have questions as well. I wanted to give a little bit of background though before I turn it over to Paul. And this, I know for the mayor and Councilmember Gerke, this is going to be a repeat of what you just heard on Monday. But Great Rivers has completed 2 phases so far. First phase was approved in 2004 and consists of 44 lots, which was later revised in 2007 with the approval of a PUD, bringing the total up to 49 lots. The PUD for that first phase allowed for 7.5-foot side setbacks and 60-foot lot widths. The second addition was then approved in 2021 and included 49 lots, all single-family, with the 75-foot lot widths. Both first and second phase were developed by Allen F. Most Limited Family Partnership, or Family Limited Partnership, the current owners. JP Brooks then, who's before you tonight, they're out of Maple Grove, Minnesota, and they're proposing to develop the future phases of Great Rivers, and they've submitted a concept plan. That concept plan would be an additional 242 lots spread over multiple phases. It would be a mix of lot widths, and proposed side yard setbacks would be at 7.5 feet. Based on the side yard setbacks and the width of mix of lot widths, it would require a planned unit development as part of this. Which does bring then, the city has worked with developers in the past. I just mentioned the one, Great Rivers First Edition in 2007, specifically that Northern Lights Drive Circle or cul-de-sac. That approved lot widths again were 60 feet with the 7.5-foot side setbacks. Additionally, just recently in 2020, we approved a PUD for the R1 mixed residential for what is called Palmetto subdivision. This approved 31 duplex units and 22 single-family units and allowed for minimum lot widths of 45 feet and approved reduced side yard setbacks for 0 feet and 6 feet for the duplexes and then 5 feet for single-family lots. So what's being proposed in terms of the rezoning, there's 4 parcels. Parcel number 2 is already zoned R5, so this would just have the PUD on it as an overlay. PID 1 here, 4, and 3 would be rezoned to R5 and then would have a PUD overlay on top of it. And this is just looking at these areas that are outlined here with the sketching. These areas that are being retained are not part of the rezoning and part of the PUD. So utilities and infrastructure, right now trail connectivity, the concept plan does not currently include required Cool River Trails integration as outlined in the city's comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. So trail connections would be needed to address as part of preliminary plat approval and included as a condition of any PUD approval. In terms of utilities, just future considerations as we move through this process if it's approved tonight. The water main will have to consider looping water service along 570th Street to connect the C-Wing drives from both west to east and east to west. Sanitary sewer, right now, there is no topographic data that's been looked at, so the analysis would need to be completed to determine if a lift station is required. And then the stormwater pond design will depend on soil conditions and must incorporate runoff rate control, water quality treatment, and infiltration where feasible. And then sidewalk connections, additional discussion is needed, and one thing that I'll get to here in a second with Plan Commission regarding placement of sidewalks throughout the development. And then one of the things that we heard, significant theme throughout our comprehensive plan survey was the desire for those who did take the survey that they wanted to see more sidewalks and interconnectivity for traversing throughout the community. So as I mentioned, Plan Commission reviewed this at this meeting last Monday, and they did recommend approval of both the concept plan and the public hearing to be held on Monday, February 2nd. They did have the following recommendations, though. Turn lanes, evaluate whether the Great Rivers development will require turn lanes at 570th. Future parking lot, discuss the possibility of the developer assisting with construction of a parking lot within the future park. Cool River Trails, as mentioned, plan for a future connection to Cool River Trail network as identified in the city's comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. Additional sidewalks, the Plan Commission has requested additional sidewalks, and we'll work with the developer on accommodating those through future phases in the concept plan. And then one of the things that's been brought up and that we looked at is the water pressure. If you recall, last year in actually 2024, we undertook a water engineering report. I think it was approved then in 2025. And one of the things that has been looked at and that we realized is that on full build out, the water pressure will be about 35 PSI. Ideally, at full build out, we'd have 50 PSI. To address this, we did approve that water engineering report in the scenario that calls out specifically adding a new well number 5 that would increase capacity to 1,000 gallons per minute, which would replace well number 2. One of the reasons we're doing that is because of the presence of PFAS and the future regulations that are resulting from the state of Wisconsin and the United States regarding PFAS. So that would replace that well. And then additionally, long-term pressure concerns, the plan calls for moving a water tower out to the Great Rivers area as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to Paul Tabone with JP Brooks to go over the concept plan further.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Paul Tabone with JPB Land. We are the development company for JP Brooks Builders. Want to thank staff for walking through the proposal from a higher level. I'm going to get into a few of the details. Have a presentation prepared. For those of you that saw last week, I apologize for the redundancy. I'll try to keep it quick, but I do want to kind of convey what our vision is for the area from start to finish. Oops. So just a little bit about us. We are based in Maple Grove. Despite that, though, we are building and working on different projects in western Wisconsin. We're currently building here in a former edition of Great Rivers, as well as working on projects in River Falls and New Richmond as well. So while we are Minnesota-based, we do have a pretty decent presence in western Wisconsin. One thing that I really want to stress is that we are developers and also builders. So everything goes from the beginning to the end with one kind of vision. We're all locally based. We all live and work in the Twin Cities. And so what you see when we come in with a proposal is that we're gonna develop it ourselves, and then we're gonna go ahead and build it. So a lot of developers, what they'll do is they'll go ahead and develop the lots and maybe sell them to a builder. We develop them and keep them ourselves. So it's kind of a nice seamless approach from concept plan all the way up through final construction. We've been in business since 2013, built over 1,000 homes in 45 communities. We currently are building in 19 neighborhoods, 16 jurisdictions throughout the Twin Cities in western Wisconsin. In 23 and 24, we did close about 150 to 155 homes. Last year was actually somewhere between 190 and 200. And this year we're estimating, or kind of our business goals are to grow to that kind of 250 mark. So continuing to grow as we continue to move forward into different areas within the housing market. We are ranked as a top 25 builder in the Twin Cities market, and we are a green certified builder. I'm going to go ahead and skip this slide because Matt already covered zoning. We all know where the project is. And I want to get to the site plan as well. So the quick breakdown, there's 242 home sites and a combination of a combination of lot sizes to provide variety. And so I'll break down that quickly. So we have 39 total 55-foot wide home sites, if I can find the cursor. Those are located along the park, and I'll explain a little bit why they're located there. 155 65-foot wide home sites, which would be for 50-foot product, and then 48 75-foot wide home sites. And so the idea here is that there's a little bit of something for everyone. And I'll get into the details of what that looks like in terms of home configuration, basement styles, and square footages. But Generally, the 55-foot wide home sites are going to fit a 2 or a 3-car home 40 feet wide. The 65-foot wide home sites are going to fit typically a 3-car garage home 50 feet wide. And then the 75-foot wide home sites are going to typically fit a 60-foot wide home, 3 stalls, but could be up to 4 as well. I want to differentiate that a little bit. So typically on your wider homes, you can fit a little bit more space across. And so we do have that 4th stall option, which is a desired amenity in today's marketplace as well. Just running through the lot areas, they range from 6,800 square feet up to just shy of a quarter of an acre. These are the quick dimensions. So all of them a minimum 125 feet deep. That doesn't mean they're all that minimum. That's just kind of what we had to back into for regulations and making sure there's enough depth by the time you have the driveway and then the building pad and then a little bit of outdoor space and then the rear setback. And speaking of setbacks, the fronts are the minimum of 25, rears are 25, and then side is 7.5, 20 feet on the corner. This is a little bit of a differentiation from what the R5 zoning district is, but I will say with the 7.5 foot and 7.5 foot side setbacks, we've seen that becoming more and more popular in the marketplace. I've been doing this for maybe 10, 12 years in primarily the Twin Cities, but a 65-foot wide home site with 7.5 side setbacks is becoming more and more commonplace. They're very, very, they're becoming more and more popular and easily absorbed into the market. Just to touch on the public infrastructure a little bit, we would extend Northern Lights Drive. We'd also extend Mark Twain Boulevard, and then looking at looping Sea Wing, which is this street here. So we'd come up through and then back down to 570th. We do have a few different cul-de-sacs throughout. We actually had worked with staff. The original concept for this neighborhood showed a park connection coming in from the north. But based on the way that this intersection kind of laid out and with the lotting going along it, we determined it was actually a little bit more efficient to come in from the east side. And so we did propose that to staff. Matt and I talked through it, and that's kind of where we landed on access to the park there. The utilities would feature extension of sanitary, sewer, and water main from Northern Lights Boulevard here, and then also from Mark Twain Sea Wing, so kind of looping back down to 570th. Stormwater would be a system that would have to be designed by an engineer. We haven't gotten there yet, but stormwater ponds are proposed up in this area here, and in preliminary conversations with city staff, we are told there is capacity in this stormwater pond as well. So we'd feature a system of storm drains and catch basins to direct stormwater into the various ponds throughout the community to make sure that that's all accounted for. One of the topics that came up last week, and it's a very popular one in a lot of places, it's not just Prescott, but pedestrian connectivity and access is very important. We see that quite a bit. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of touch on is that what we're trying to do is keep everything internal to the community, because there is a pretty big preservation piece with this proposal. The most have requested and will retain up to 76 acres. So the total site is about 150. Half of that would be preserved and retained. And then the rest of it is where you see the general development boundary for the home sites. We're proposing with this layout over 3/4 of a mile of sidewalks, kind of in through this area here. With the discussions that occurred with the commission last week, we believe that will actually probably be over a mile if we incorporate a little bit more. But again, trying to loop it through this way, and then also looping 570th, picking up the sidewalk here, bringing it up and over, and then being able to loop back. And while I'm at it, the commission did talk about maybe running a sidewalk back that way, and we still have to have those conversations with staff. I just want to be clear, because something that I had brought up at the time was there is no sidewalk along Northern Lights for this stretch of it. So that starts to you got to kind of dust it off and go, all right, well, where does it make sense to go back? And we kind of talked about maybe heading back south, but that's still to be determined. But we did hear that as a comment, and so wanted to be able to address that quickly. I'm just going to touch on this quickly because we did do a review of the comprehensive plan. Lots of goals and policies in there that we believe this project would implement. Number one is probably the diversified housing stock with 3 different lot sizes and 3 different kind of product types, and I will break those down in a little bit more detail. There is a little bit of something for everyone, and I have some graphics that'll kind of illustrate that. Again, a variety of housing. We do design our homes pretty efficiently. They're all in compliance with modern building codes, so we do, in this type of approach, you would actually decrease the amount of energy and water used as we're using the land efficiently and trying to be as environmentally conscious as we can. The city is working with residential developers, again, kind of touching on the energy efficiency standards for construction, and then universal home design, again, the different product types. So working to provide safe access, a variety of housing options from the land use chapter, and then the preservation piece of the natural topo in collaboration with the Most family. Trying to design and incorporate the various engineering principles to reduce the speeds and make sure that there's a safe pedestrian-oriented sidewalk system, and protecting the homes from conflicting land uses. If you go back to the site plan, you'll see that they're actually pretty well kind of keeping in this green belt here that was started here, and with this proposal, we're actually keeping quite a bit of green space all the way around the community. So working to implement that as well. I'm going to skip this slide because it kind of it talks through the code requirements of the PUD, and it's in your staff report. So we pulled it, but I think that's in front of you if you'd like to look at it. But I wanted to touch on a couple of additional benefits. With the 242 homes that are being presented here, they will appeal to varying ages and incomes, including first-time homebuyers, young families, move-up buyers, and then we do have some age-targeted slab-on-grade options for seniors looking to potentially downsize, kind of targeting that 55-plus active adult market segment. The comprehensive plan, from when we were reviewing it, did identify up to 445 new homes that would be needed by 2040. We believe this project would significantly contribute to that. It would work to provide an increased tax base, which then waterfalls into school funding availability in the area. And constructing the access road to the park, again, kind of just fosters the overall connectivity. It was something that was important to the city, so Matt and I kind of sat down and decided how we could maybe go about that as well with that easterly connection. We do believe that the layout as proposed is in harmony with the existing and surrounding single-family neighborhood. One thing that I hadn't touched on previously is that we purposely put the wider lots, the 75s, along that western side, along the existing construction, and then we kind of transition to the 65s and the 55s as we go east. So taking into consideration the home sites that are already there and trying to make sure that it all makes sense as you build through it. It does reflect local housing market conditions, trends, and demands. And we do have enhanced architecture. I will get to that in a minute, but I wanted to stress this. We do have an internal anti-monotony code, meaning we hold ourselves to a different standard so that you don't have the same home that looks the same throughout the entire community. So basically what we try to make sure is that no home, if you have a home, that no home on either side, so the one on either side of it, will not have the same elevation. And I know there's some considerations taken into account for the homes that are across the street as well. So it's really trying to make sure that while you want it to be uniform, everything doesn't look the same as you walk down the block, and it gives it a nice aesthetic for the neighborhood. This is a table that talks through, kind of demonstrates the R5 base zoning district and an RPUD proposal. I've bolded the ones that deviate from the base zoning, and a couple of things that I wanted to note is basically there's one lot size, we show 3. There's one lot square footage, we show 3. A couple of things where we actually exceed the minimums. You have a minimum dwelling unit width of 22 feet. Our minimums are going to be 40. So we're exceeding the code in that regard. These are pretty much the same here for front and rear yard setbacks. That's pretty conventional in today's market. The minimum side setback is a little bit different. You have an 8-foot minimum, so 16 feet of separation. we're proposing 7.5 or 15. That's pretty common throughout the market as well. Building height's the same. And then the minimum dwelling unit size, we actually do exceed that. Our homes will range from 1,300 up to about 4,500 square feet, where the minimum here in the code is 575. We're pretty much double that, a little bit more than double, actually. Impervious lot coverage is something that we come across in a lot of communities. Prescott is no exception. You want to make sure that, and we understand you're treating the stormwater adequately and not causing a bunch of hard runoff, right, that's not adequately treated and then ultimately ends up in the local water table. We believe that with that maximum of 70%, we can be less than or equal to that number. And that's, again, preliminarily, we'll have to kind of vet that through our preliminary plat. But just running some quick numbers, we think we'll be able to implement that. So keeping in form with the base zoning district. So this table illustrates the floor plans that we offer, and you can see we have 3-car configurations on the 55-foot wide lots. We also have 2-car configurations on the 55-foot wide lots, and then you can see the different garage configurations on the 65s and 75s. And so you could look at this, or you could just look to the right here, because basically what I've tried to do is summarize it. So our floor plans come in 2-car, 3-car, 4-car configurations with slab-on grade, split-level basements, lookout basements, walkout basements, and full basements. So there's a little bit of everything, like I said. It kind of depends on the site conditions. It depends on the floor plan type. The homes include 2 to 6 bedrooms, 2 to 5 baths, and range from about 1,300 square feet on the low end up to about 4,800. I think I said 45 a few minutes ago. But so you can see there's a pretty good range there, 13 to 48. And one thing that I wanted to stress and just kind of put out there is that all the floor plans are subject to market conditions. We're constantly updating, changing floor plans, removing floor plans, offering new floor plans as we try to adjust to what's going on in the market. And as I'm sure you're all aware, the market is getting more and more challenging to try to stay ahead of. So we're constantly updating our product, revamping our floor plans, and making sure that we're staying relevant in today's world. I just want to touch on the architectural distinctions and kind of what sets us apart from an aesthetic standpoint. What will happen with a lot of builders is they'll have their base elevations, and then they'll charge extra for some of the things that we like to see: decorative brackets, stone accents, color and texture changes. And so you can kind of see it through the bullet points here. We have varying heights and quantities for stone. LP is called it's short for Louisiana Pacific. It's like a hardy board or a composite. And so we do have some of that involved or included in our facades as well. Our base material is vinyl, but we do have LP accents, window trim, those types of things that kind of dress up the elevations a little bit. Coach lamps, side light windows, and then other decorative elements that you can see. We do have an upgraded fiberglass door, and we do include, just on our staff, she's great. She's a full-time designer with over 25 years of experience, and so making sure, again, that everything works well together, the color packages kind of gel, and that everything is pleasing and good to look at as you're having that experience of, kind of driving or walking through our neighborhoods. Very intentional with the self-imposed anti-monotony code. Kind of talked about that to avoid redundancy. And so now I'm just going to show you and walk you through a few of our floor plan examples. And so these are Rambler floor plan examples, meaning it can be a flat lot with a full basement, or it could be a slab-on grade. Rambler is kind of more the lot and house type, not so much dictated by the structure itself. It's more kind of what's going on the ground beneath the foundation. So here's an example. This one actually won an award back in 2023. 3 to 5 beds, 2 to 3 baths, 19 to 3,600 square feet. And there's a couple of interior photos so you can see what those look like in the kitchen and family room. So again, another Rambler. Notice the difference in garage door. Even something like changing the coloring on the front elevation can add a little bit of visual interest. In this case, the main picture has a brown door. These have white doors. But if you look at up here, you have the decorative bracket, shake or scale, even though it's the same color, and then lap here. It still provides that little bit of visual interest. One thing I wanted to bring to your attention on this one is we have the color changes in the garage doors, but also it's available in a 2 or a 3. So just kind of showing you, walking you through that 3 to 5. And you can the bedrooms don't change, the bathrooms don't change. What's really going to change on the width is that third garage stall or fourth garage stall, depending on the plan. But you can see the grids, the decorative brackets, the window wrap kind of dresses up the front facade, and you have the stone accents on the pillars as well. Here's an example of our split level floor plan. So split levels are typically a 4-foot basement. Your full basement is going to be about 8 to 9 feet below ground. These are 4. They're a little bit more cost efficient to build. And again, implementing the same kind of things with the window grids, stone accents, the coach lamps, decorative brackets, and the gables for a little bit of visual interest. This is another split level floor plan. You can see the color and texture changes, kind of more of those aesthetics in brown versus white, different colors in the elevations, the shutters. So just trying to make sure that everything doesn't look exactly the same, but there's still a little bit of uniformity to it. So I'll touch on these for a minute. These are our villa floor plan examples. Villa is typically age targeted, slab on grade. And it's a concept that features all your necessary living on one floor. So typically you're going to have your kitchen, your living room, and your bedroom. Because it's a slab, there's no stairs. That typical demographic of the market, the active adult or senior, empty nester, typically they don't want stairs. And so we've designed these plans to kind of incorporate that. And again, 2 to 3 beds, 2 baths, about 2,000 square feet, could have 2 or 3 cars. So if you were to imagine, it could be a 2-car plan if you just eliminate that third stall, and that would be an available configuration. And then I'll end with the 2-story floor plans. This is your traditional 2-story, 4 to 5 bedrooms, 3 to 4 baths, and then 22 to 3,500 square feet, and that 2 to 3 car garage. You can see this one's 2, these are 3. On the wider lots, we may even be able to do that 4th stall. If you have that wider, basically would have a 60-foot pad. So you'd have the home plus a 4-stall garage and still meeting that 7.5 side setback. Those are becoming a little bit more popular too when you have the width, because especially in markets that are maybe, I wouldn't even call them urban or suburban, but a little bit further out, you have people that have a boat. Maybe they want to have a shop. They like snowmobiling in the wintertime, so that 3rd or 4th stall really can be a big difference for some people as you kind of get into different product offerings. So just more examples here of the 2-story. I mean, it's pretty traditional looking. Again, color and texture change, grids on the windows, shutters, and then some stone accents, some nice windows on the garages there, and being able to kind of offer them in different color palettes, different schemes, but everything ties together pretty nicely. So in summary, our goal is to partner with the city and deliver a nice community with excellent quality. We do believe we have the capability to do that. We're excited to be here. And so we hope that this PUD will establish the excellent standards that we're accustomed to delivering. We do anticipate starting development work in 2026 and look forward to working with the city. One thing that I wanted to note, I was just thinking about as I was talking through the villas, there was some discussion that came up at the Planning Commission regarding the smaller lots and why. And I'll just tell you, there is a segment of the marketplace that's interested in a smaller home on a smaller lot, less maintenance for their yard, and a little bit lower land basis, which is then ideally reflected in the sale price. One of the reasons that we chose to locate these here is because it kind of hits both ends of the spectrum. For a young family, or say somebody who's just getting started, you have the park right there. And so for a young family with children, it's very convenient to have that there. On the other end of the spectrum, you also have maybe an empty nester or people that their kids are gone, but come back to visit and there's grandkids. So it's easy to take the grandkids to the park as well. The other thing that I would note is you typically put your most dense development down along your busier streets. In other areas, this could be an apartment or a townhome, but in this case, what we did is we kind of backed it up to the park, and then along 570th, we'd look at making sure there's enough separation there, but also didn't want to locate the smaller lots right next to the existing lots on this side. So you kind of see we kind of phased it as we worked our way east. So that's my short presentation. I'm available to stand for any questions, and otherwise I can hand it back to city staff.
I was really impressed with the diversity of housing
Yeah,
that is in this plan, and I was really happy to see that, because I think that Prescott needs those smaller lots and smaller homes for first-time buyers and people just starting out. And we have our housing prices have been pretty going upwardly. So it's really good to see that in here.
I also appreciate the internal policy you guys have, so things don't look, like, what do you call it? Yeah, like cookie cutter homes. Too many times you see these new developments come in, and, like, oh, it's exciting to see what's coming in, and then all of a sudden it's just like 100 homes of the exact same thing.
The Levittown model.
Yeah, and some people are okay with that, but I think in general, most people do prefer a little distinction and a little difference there, and especially just from curb appeal or driving by or walking by. That's a huge thing, so can appreciate that.
Our designers and our owner especially have, they've spent a lot of time, they'll tell you, they come up with a plan and then they'll scratch it and be like, I don't like this, we have to get rid of that, let's change this around. So there's a lot of thought that goes into our floor plans and elevations, so we appreciate that. I will let them know that.
Yeah, and I mean, when I first looked at the map, it was a little daunting.
Yeah.
A lot
Sure.
of houses.
It is.
But I do like your concept and your plan, and to be able to build it around, the park. I think it will offer a lot of options for people. I hope the school district is aware that this could be happening. What are you looking at as far as a timeline? You're starting in 2026.
Sure. So to your point, yes, 242 homes on a site plan like that can look daunting, right? I mean, that's not the first time that we've heard something like that. To answer your question, we would look to start in 26. With 240 homes, you're looking at probably a 5-year build-out, give or take.
Okay.
It really is dependent on the market. If they start selling quickly, then we would look to bring phases online, additional phases online.
Sure.
Your typical lead time on the land development side is going to be about 6 to 12 months. So like we're working on this now. If we were to start it, say, late spring, early summer, by the time we had all of our approvals, we would work through the first phase in development and look to have that done through summer and into fall. Meaning home construction actually isn't starting until late fall, early winter at the earliest. The other thing that is typical in the industry, and every builder has different preferences, but you typically look at what we call velocity or absorption, right? So it's how fast can you sell the homes as they're coming online and being bought into the marketplace. Your typical assumption is like maybe 2 to 3 a month. So 20 to 30 homes a year, maybe 30 to 40 on the high side. So when you start to do that math, you can see that it's a multiple phase build. And it could be slower than that, it could be faster than that. So much of it is based on economics and the market that we can crystal ball pretty well, 6 to 8 months out. Beyond a year, it starts to get pretty fuzzy pretty quick.
Well, thank you. It clarified a lot for me, so thank you.
As far as the market and how that looks and stuff, you touched on it a little bit in the earlier slides. How are you guys seeing that with your other builds and current builds?
Our
Uptrend or stationary or?
I'd say stationary. I mean, there are a lot of builders in the market that struggled a little more than we did this year. One thing that's great about JP Brooks is we have homes that kind of run the gamut. So we have townhomes that start in the high 2s, maybe low 300s, and then we have single-family detached homes that with the kind of price points will run not quite that high, but kind of up that price curve depending on what the buyer is looking for. So, and I would add too that if anybody wanted to tour any of our communities, we can go ahead and set that up. Matt can get a hold of me and we can
What's
tour
the
you
highest
through.
range of the larger homes that are on that outside
In terms of
Price.
square footage,
price?
that's still being determined
Okay.
at this time. I mean, we have kind of an idea, but we are incorporating. There's a host of things that we haven't quite gotten to the technical detail of yet, like grading, street work. And so we have an idea, but we're kind of still working
Like
through that
grading
at
will
this
be
time.
intricate.
The grading will be interesting, the development work always is,
Yeah.
you know, the installation of street, sidewalk, you know, sewer and water, stormwater, so.
Yeah, well, you kind of touched on the diversity of the options in homes and sizes and layouts and all of that is really appealing, I think, for a lot of people in the market, because too often you come into these things and you have just like 3 or 4 options and then you can, you know, change designs and whatnot, but to have that, you know, is basically as diverse as you could possibly get for the land and use, so.
Yeah, that's
You
what I
get
thought.
a chance, Adam, you should look how many plans he has. He must have 30 plans or better that I've seen. And that's before you even do any changing.
Correct.
So he really has a lot of
The
variety.
one thing I wanted to bring up, and I've talked to Matt a little bit about it, is if, like, these are just examples. There's maybe 3 or 4 floor plans of each, you know, type of home. There's a few more that we have even beyond that. But what I would want to do is make sure that as we build through the community, if the market shifts or if we have to change the features or something happens, that as long as we're meeting the spirit and intent of the PUD in the neighborhood, that we can just add or remove plans administratively from our lineup and making sure that they work in conformance with the standard that's been set here. Because it doesn't do any good for us to release a floor plan that can't be sold.
Yeah.
And the market is more fickle than ever. So if we do release a floor plan that doesn't sell well, we're going to know that pretty quick within building a few of them. And if they don't respond well, then we're going to kind of go, okay, this isn't working well in this plan. Here's what the feedback is among our customers. And we try to update it, tweak it, or remove it altogether and maybe release something else that's more preferred. Thanks.
I don't have any other questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Tim,
Thank you.
for the most though, I know you guys are retaining, I think he said 75 acres of it. Now, I know a lot of this is woods over here on the side and around the backside. What are you gonna do with some of the land that's, you know, close to the houses? Is there gonna be access over to like McGee's Park, or what do you plan on doing? Or just leaving it natural?
Current plan is to leave it natural. It's just because it's very steep.
Oh, I know, you got a lot of
Right
steep.
out there, where the homes are laid out, that's up along the top. If you think where all the tillable land is, that's where the homes are being built. Right off that tillable land, you get a real steep drop. And so the current plan is we're just gonna leave it to wildlife.
Yeah.
Okay,
Are you thinking about a conservation trust of some kind for that
we're going to
land?
address Chris the questions. He's going to need to come up to the podium.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's okay to do
Yeah,
that.
but you wanna come
That
up
way,
and
that
talk?
way we can hear you on TV. So if you want to come up to the podium and she can,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Short answer, no. How's that? We haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
We just, again, we engaged J.P. Brooks, really liked what they had to offer.
Yeah.
And we're taking that first step and beyond that.
Yeah.
The plan is to really keep the land within the family. It's been in our family for 140 years, so it is
Yeah.
really special to us. So we do want to, retain that land and pass it on through generations. I know my children and Al's grandson too have really expressed an interest in, retaining that land.
do you use it for hunting or anything like that now, or?
Recreation, it is within city limits, so there is no gun, obviously
Oh.
no gunfire on there. Bow hunting, some bow hunting, a lot of hiking. It's funny, we spend a lot of time down there. Al and I were just down there last week, walked the entire property.
But you wouldn't have any problem with us connecting up to the Cooley River trails then?
That's something we're gonna have to discuss,
Okay.
just because there's land rights and issues that come with that, so we'll be addressing that with the city.
Okay,
Sounds
Thank
good?
you.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Great Rivers Concept Plan with proposed additions, changes, and future considerations as made by the Planning Commission. Also approve the Planning Commission to hold a public hearing for a zoning map amendment, including changing 3 parcels from A1 agriculture to R5 single-family residential and adding a planned unit development overlay on 4 parcels.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second to approve the concept and to hold the public hearing for the zoning map amendment. Is there any discussion on the motion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is
Number 5.
Resolution 0126, appointing municipal election inspectors. Is that you, Rochelle?
Either one of those. It's pretty simple. Every 2 years, we're required to do a resolution for poll workers for upcoming elections. And since we have 3 elections this year, and it's an even year, we need to do the resolution for our list of poll workers. So if council has any comments or questions or concerns,
What's the third election? It's April, November, but what's the other one?
there is a primary in August.
Really? Okay.
So we've got one in April, August, and November.
Okay.
Yes. And then this list will go for 2 years. So 2028 would be the next resolution.
It's pretty much the same people that we have been having.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 01-26, appointing the listed municipal election inspectors.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion, a second to approve Resolution 0126. Is there any discussion on the motion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the next item is Resolution 0226, authoring a pedestrian way as part of the Elm Washington Street reconstruction project funded by federal and local funds. Matt, you want to expound on that?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So we completed Elm and Washington Street back in December of 2024. But one of the things that we got as part of that project was a grant through the Wisconsin Department of Transportation called through the MSIS grant program for $871,950. That allowed us to reduce our assessment. So now with the project finally complete and us wrapping up the paperwork, the one thing that we still need to do is pass a local resolution that designates this area a pedestrian way. One of the things that was not in the old street design was a sidewalk or pedestrian way. So in terms of adding that, that's one of the reasons, one of the major reasons we got the grant for this project. So basically, this is just the council's and the city's authorization of that pedestrian way before you tonight. So I'll turn it over for comments and questions.
So it's pretty much just say, yes, we got a sidewalk. Okay. I'll make a resolution of 0226 authorizing the pedestrian way as part of the Elm and Washington Street reconstruction project funded by federal and local funds.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion, and a second to approve Resolution 0226. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 7 is Resolution 0326, approving the concept plans for repairs, modifications, and improvements at Sunset Park for 2026. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. So we currently, within our 2026 budget and our capital improvement plan, we allocated $99,260 for improvements, upgrades, maintenance at Sunset Park. This has been going to Parks and Public Works Committee a couple times now, I think. And the discussion in the memo has the overall items in terms of the shelter, swing set, basketball court, in terms of repavement and striping, and then some of the other improvements. The full budget of what's currently estimated, again, these are just estimates, we haven't finalized everything, but Luke did a good job of looking and putting together what we're currently putting in and what the cost for that is. So right now, he's showing with a 10% contingency, the total cost at $95,366.70. So that would put us under budget. Obviously, we'll have to, as we go through and we start ordering items, if everything is approved tonight, we'll see if that budget has to change at all. If it does, obviously if we go over it, we'll have to come back for your authorization. So the map is attached, and instead of just one playground equipment, one large piece of playground equipment, we're spreading it out over 3 smaller pieces. So I'll turn it over to council for comments and questions.
The only thing I see missing there, because when we were out there, I thought we were gonna add a couple trees. Now, I know trees, they're not a big ticket number, but I noticed that they're not there.
Yeah, we can add a couple trees.
Great.
Try to keep the west sun out of everybody's eyes.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on this. I'm going to make a motion to approve Resolution 03-26, approving the concept plan for repairs, modifications, and improvements at Sunset Park for 2026.
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 0326. Is there any discussion on that motion?
Do we need to modify the resolution to include the trees request?
No, we can just add that as part
Okay.
of it separately.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, other business. Intergovernmental meeting, Prescott Area Fire and EMS Association, this Wednesday, January 14th at 7 p.m. All those that can make it, that'd be really great if we did.
It's at Oak Grove Town Hall, just so.
What's that?
It's at Oak Grove Town Hall.
Okay, Oak Grove Town Hall.
Oh, it's at the Oak Grove Town Hall?
The address is
Where's
on the
that?
agenda.
Is that the one out in Tremper Valley?
1110.
I don't know.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
it's out,
It
Yeah.
is on
that-
Tremper Valley up
yes.
through the hill.
What street?
Okay, I just want to make
I
sure
know.
that was
It's on the
right.
agenda.
that double
Oh, it
Q
is
or
on-
whatever.
Yes.
On Q?
Oh, I know where you're
Double Q,
talking.
Red Crosses.
It's right next to, what the heck is the name of that road?
Oh, I could be wrong.
Double Q?
Google is your friend.
It's across from the
I was just gonna
church,
say, I'll
basically.
figure it out.
Out there, right? Am I in the right spot?
No.
No?
And so is ChatGPT.
Double
That's
Q.
where it used to be.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the old town hall.
Okay,
It's where you
Double
cross
Q.
35, you take
Just
double
put
Q
it
and
in
you
your
cross south.
GPS.
Yeah.
It turns into 1100th Avenue, or street, 1100th Street. It's
so
still-
it is up in Trumpeter Valley area.
In the
Sure.
area, it's just before Trumpeter though. It's not
At
to
Oak
Trumpeter
Grove
Okay,
City Hall or Township Hall?
yet. Town Hall.
okay.
And we
better.
got an email, I believe. too,
I'll find it when I
so,
can.
Yeah.
Okay, next item on the agenda is closed session. Closed session per Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, conferring with legal counsel, the government body is rendering oral written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation, which it is or is likely to become involved, to wit, discussion, consideration, or raise order at 915 Canton Street.
Motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to go into closed session. Do a roll call. Mike,
All right.
Maureen,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Dar,
Aye.
Lindsay.
Aye.
Okay, we are in closed session.